Luther gonna be here?
Yeah,
He's running a little late.
We call to order tonight's meeting of the Portland City Council. It's our first meeting for the month of March in 2013. We're honored to have with us tonight Brother Randy Brown, a minister from the Portland Church of Christ. And if you would, ask to stand and if you'd come forward.
Let's pray. Dear Father, who art in heaven, we're so thankful for the many blessings you give us. We're thankful for your wisdom that guides us, for your strength that sustains us. We're so thankful for your grace and your mercy that blesses us. We're so blessed to live in the nation in which we live in. And we're so blessed to live in the community here in Portland that we live in. We pray, Father, for these men that serve us so well and these women that serve us so well. We're thankful for their leadership. We're thankful for their willingness to serve those of this community, to make sure that the people of this community have what's best for them. We pray that you give them guidance and wisdom and strength. We pray that the decisions they make will benefit all of those who live here. Dear Father, we're so thankful for your rich blessings. We know everything comes through you and through your Son. And it's in his name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Brother Brown. We appreciate you coming tonight. All you do for our community. Roll call, Ms. King.
Here.
Here.
Here. Here. Here.
All right, thank you. Next, we need approval of the agenda. We have a motion to get the agenda on the floor.
So moved.
We have a second.
Second.
I would like to make one change. We've had a request. We have an item under public safety. Two officers to move that to the first item on the agenda. If nobody would object, I would ask that we go ahead and do that. Move that to the first item. I think Mr. Coker,
Yes. Going to add an item to the agenda about a discussion about a referendum for possible charter change.
Anyone else have any changes or anything to the agenda? All in favor of the agenda with the changes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Did I do the approval? Okay. I got ahead of myself, I was thinking. We need a motion to, need to approve the minutes of the February 4th and 19th meeting. Do I have a motion to approve these minutes?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Does anyone have any comments or changes or anything to the minutes? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, next we have 3 public hearings. These public hearings are on very specific items of the meeting. We do have a time later on in the meeting where the public wants to address the council on another item on the agenda, may do so at this time. But these public hearings are for these specific ordinance. The first ordinance is Ordinance 13-03. It's an ordinance authorizing a contract between the City of Portland and Utility Service Company to provide professional maintenance and asset management for water storage tanks. Does anyone in the audience have any comment to make on this ordinance? Okay, next ordinance is ordinance number 1305. It's an ordinance authorizing a contract between the City of Portland and James N. Bush Construction Company in Cookeville to replace a natural gas line on Venata Road. Does anyone in the audience want to comment on this specific ordinance? Okay, if not, third ordinance is ordinance 13-06. It's an ordinance authorizing an agreement for professional services from Jacob Engineering to prepare a drainage study for Evergreen subdivision. Does anyone wish to make a comment on this ordinance? If not, public hearings will be closed at this time. Next, you have your reports. You have a motion to approve these reports.
So moved.
We have a second.
Second.
Any comments on the reports? All in favor of the reports say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we have communication from mayor and alderman. Does any of the aldermen have anything they wish to speak to the public about at this time? Okay, if not, next now is a period we have public recognition. If anyone in the audience would like to address the council with the item on the agenda, you may do so at this time. Just ask you to come forward and state your name and address, please. Does anyone wish to address the council? Okay, no one. All right, the first item on the agenda will be public safety item. Mr. Callis, do you want to?
Resolution number 13-24,
For Portland, these are just replacing two vacant positions that's already budgeted. The names of the officers are James Bartolotta and Carrington Ferguson. Both of these men are here with us tonight, and I move to approve.
Have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Comments or questions?
Just,
Go
go ahead.
No, go on.
No, just briefly, I know they're having, sort of been something I've mentioned before. I know they're having, career day out at the high school. If the chief and the mayor would see fit, I would think it may be, make a working schedule where you could set up a booth and we could encourage some young men out there to become police officers, and we could hire maybe them locally, maybe find a junior or something, and sort of, we even talked with Mike today about maybe we create some kind of internship where they maybe come up, sit in dispatching or something. I don't know about the compliances, but you just check on that, and maybe they would have an interest in it. And I would like to see us even maybe set aside some money and even provide the academy training for, if we could, find some young man, and he's been involved for a couple years, and feel like he'd make a good officer. If you could see fit to do that, Mayor.
Okay.
Because I think career day's coming up. I got an email.
Yeah, I think Denise has been in contact with them already about us
Okay.
trying to get something.
And let me say this, the fire chief, I would echo the same thing. If you saw fit to maybe spend some time out at career day, maybe encourage some of those young. Okay, thank you.
These two officers, we did just do it. Of course, we got an HR director now, and they did do a little bit different process for hiring. Richard, you want to explain a little bit, or you or John wanted the process? I think it speaks very highly and very more detailed, kind of what they went through to pick these two fine gentlemen out.
This was a process here in selection of police officers. What we sought to do was create some objective data in the selection process. So the very first thing that we did, we went through a standardized testing, written test, that all applicants that met the selection criteria of being post-certified within the last 5 years, or having gone through the academy within a reasonable period of time. All of those applicants were brought in and tested. 70 was passing. Anyone who scored below 70 was automatically excluded. Those who scored 70 or above were included in the next step. So this was kind of an entry into the party, so to speak. At that point, we constructed an interview panel. We had an officer from another department, a command staff officer from another department, the chief, myself, a department head, Thomas, helped us. We had supervisory personnel from the police department and dispatch supervisor and CID supervisor in there as well. We had a standard list of questions that every applicant was asked and scored independently by each individual. Those that were scored the highest, we kind of bell curved it, and those who were scored the highest were brought in for a chief's interview and a background. And we took the background process, which was a list of 20 some odd questions. The CID went out and investigated their backgrounds, and for each negative indicator or rejection indicator, they were scored. If for example, they had been convicted of a crime or anything that would exclude them from being hired, they were automatically rejected. So you started at a baseline of 0 points, and for each ding, so to speak, they were given a negative point. Those that scored the highest on the background and the test, or background and the interview process, were brought in for a chief's interview. And that gave us the most valid 2 to 3 candidates to consider. And that's where we came up with the 2 that are being presented tonight.
Okay. All right, thank you, John. So
One
it's like,
thing, I know me personally, I was a late starter, and I never did much better than a B minus, even up through college. I ended up with a degree, but never was real bright, you know, to the point that I tested well. And oftentimes we'll have some young men that don't test well.
Right.
They're just not, the IQ's not up there, and I know that in the past we've hired some real bright people, but they didn't make real great officers.
Right.
So is the process sort of allow some people in the, end that's not, I mean, that it's not just a test, and you test high, and,
Right.
'Cause I found that, I could name quite a few that didn't work out that way, but they tested real high.
I understand. The initial test was a measurement of someone's ability to reason, read, write, do math, write reports, all of those things, the basic skills that it would take to perform the job. The interview process really helped to define, out of all of those people that the baseline test said could probably do the job, which ones were the best fit.
Okay.
A lot of the questions that we asked were behavioral questions, situational, how they were given a task, how they responded, what the outcome was. Not just the behavioral questions, but personality fit, past experience fit, and so forth. So, we kind of came at it at 3 different angles to make sure that it wasn't just a measurement of how smart someone is.
Okay.
It's whether or not they were going to fit with the organization as well.
Sure.
And you said anything 70 or above was allowed to,
Was allowed to proceed through.
right. So
But the next level, the testing parts, they could be eliminated, the way I understood you said it though.
Pardon?
In the next round, academics could drop you out.
Well, the first round academics would exclude an
Yeah.
applicant. The second round, there were no tests. There were
Okay,
no,
okay.
It was purely a panel interview.
just talking about the background.
Oh, background, okay.
Yeah.
Well, like I say, I always leave some room for people like myself, because there's probably several of them out there.
Well, we wanted people that could perform the basic
Okay.
functions of the job. Then we wanted people that fit the organization well, and we also wanted people who had a clean background history.
Sure.
All right, Vice Mayor.
I was just gonna ask, as with anything we do that seems to change the system the way we normally do it, there's always, people that try to, resist that change and not wanna go with that system. I know that during that process, some of the rumors and some of the things that we were hearing was that I think there was a consensus that felt like if the background check were performed first, before it ever got to that point, it may go ahead and eliminate
Right.
some people that didn't need to be in there anyway.
And I've spoken with the chief, and next time we go through this process, that's something we're gonna do early.
You're gonna try to do the
We're
background checks up front,
as-
then?
We're gonna have the applicants fill out a release initially, and those that are backgrounded in will be allowed to test and go through the interview process. So,
I just know from hiring in the past, there's been a lot of times it's been hard to find someone that can pass the background test, and there's no sense in putting them through all of that,
that's right.
all of that whole system if they're gonna fail that background test at the end.
That's true.
There's something else I'm gonna ask, I forgot what it was now. That's all for right now, I guess. Just I can think of it.
All right. Anyone else have anything?
What's
Do
the-
we have any officers, like from another department or anything, been on enforcement,
Yes.
Apply.
Yes, sir.
and they didn't qualify?
Well, one gentleman that we have here tonight is from another department. Another gentleman that we have here tonight has put himself through the police academy, so we've got one of each.
Any other comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Won't you gentlemen, John, maybe that way let them introduce themselves?
I wanted to ask a question.
Oh,
There, are you short, have you lost two off, excuse me, chief,
Yes, we have. We're still replacing two positions.
recently?
One in December and one in kind of limbo the past couple of years, and we lost that position also, as a matter of fact.
No, one more. They're not gonna be driving cars on, are they?
Not till they
Galloping that.
comply- I'm sorry, not till they comply with the city policy. No, the answer to that is no, not till they comply.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Now let them introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm James Bartolotta. I currently work for Hendersonville Police Department. I worked there about 4 years. I'm 26 years old. I'm originally from Connecticut, and then I moved to Lafayette and grew up there until I graduated high school. Went to Ball State Community College, and after that, I ended up going to Montgomery, Alabama, and became a police officer there first.
Thank you, James.
Well, glad to
Welcome aboard.
My name is Carrington Ferguson. I am 21 years old. Graduated from high school from Beach High School in 2009, where I then went to Walter State and got my Associates of Applied Science in Criminal Justice. Went ahead and put myself through Walter State, which is in East Tennessee. Put my own self through the Police Academy, and here I am now.
Well,
Thank you.
sir.
Welcome aboard.
Glad to have both of y'all. All right, appreciate us letting us move the agenda around. All right, first item, I believe, we don't have anything under planning. Mr. McDowell, you have anything to add?
No, sir, nothing on planning tonight.
All right, we do have one finance item, but we will cover that down in the legislative part of the meeting. Public Works, we have three. Mr. Bratton, do you want?
It's ordinance 13-3, second reading. It's an ordinance authorizing a contract between the city of Portland and the Utility Service Group, Inc. to provide professional maintenance and assessment for the water storage tanks. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion, have a second. Any discussion or questions? I think we've about asked every question we could, but there may still be some more.
Well, you ought to not get lost coming back, that's for sure. He's
Right.
been up here. I think you probably know the way blindfolded by now.
Yeah, he won't have any problem finding them, will he?
I got a question, that, it was brought up last time we talked with this gentleman about some of the water tanks that have basins that are shaped like this, and they can't completely drain them. Did I understand you say that?
You can drain them, yes.
They have a,
The Taurus bottoms,
yeah,
they're designed that way for strength.
yeah,
So
well, they do have a drain on that
they have a
part.
siphon that when the tank's drained, it's supposed to, when it gets down to a certain level, to that level, the siphon's supposed to take it the rest of the way out. But 90% of the time, the siphon does not work.
Well, what about sediment in there? Will you clean that out, or is the city gonna do?
Yes, sir.
you'll
No,
do
we
it?
clean it out every 2 years. There's a washout inspection.
Okay.
And we pump the rest of the water out and clean the sediment out of that.
Well,
tank.
I wasn't sure, I didn't know there was a mechanism to drain that part that would settle.
Like I said, there is one, but it doesn't work most of the time. But we can pump the water out and do it that way.
You would do that yourself?
Yes, sir.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, sir.
There was one question to the contract last time, and Mr. Amonette, do you wanna, that has been as far as I know,
Due to the, I believe it was, Alderman Bratton, we, added a provision dealing with a separate person kind of checking their work. And so the question came up, well, whether if there was a problem and they couldn't come to any resolution, so we have added a paragraph, dealing with that type of situation being subject to arbitration. And language has been added. Be glad to read it. It's pretty lengthy, but if you want to do that, I'll be glad to do that. But we did add that language.
Yeah, the basically, I think if the two individuals disagree, it would be a mediator, and that person would sort of work through the process with both, hopefully coming to a resolution. Hopefully that never happens, but you never know.
And that's in each of the contracts, by the way.
And you've looked over what he's talking about?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, our attorney did.
Right, as long as somebody,
You don't want me
long as
look-
everybody,
You don't want me looking.
as long as your side and our side have already seen it and agreed, we're good.
All right, is any other comments or questions for him? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
The next item is ordinance
Thank
13.
you for
Thank
your
you.
help.
Thank y'all.
Patience.
Just give him $1 million contract. Thank me, thank you. Oh, maybe I should look at it different. Ordinance
1,000,006.
13-5, second reading. An ordinance authorizing a contract between the city of Portland and James N. Bush Construction of Cookville to replace a natural gas line on Vanetta Road. Make a motion to approve.
Have a motion, a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? This is to replace a line that is failing, I mean, not fail, but, potential, so it's, in maintenance. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 13-6, second reading, a ordinance authorizing an agreement for professional services from Jacob Engineers to prepare a drainage study for Evergreen subdivision. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion, and we do have a second. Comments or questions?
If this passes, when would the study begin?
They're ready to begin probably as soon as we can get everything signed. We did have an Evergreen and, having a study done, and, we had a study done, a few years ago. Was only on part of it, but the monies that can be used for this study will offset part of our agreement with the state on our sewer, consent order, to offset some environmental concerns of a 41,500, which is gonna cost in the 20,000 range, or high 20s. So that money can go toward us offsetting, that amount. So that's one thing that makes us, a little attractive, is getting this done. Plus, we need to, take care of some drainage situation in that area. So anyone else got any questions, comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Mayor, would you handle item D? I have a conflict, so I won't be voting.
Item D is resolution 13-23. It's a resolution to approve the city of Portland install a 6-inch sewer extension for 416 North Harris Road, approximately 220 feet, and a 6-inch sewer extension for 113 Searcy Lane, approximately 510 foot. These both have been requested both because they have due to failing septic systems, and we do have a line item money project in our sewer budget of $35,000 for small projects like this, and that's where that money will be taken out. Have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any other discussions or questions?
Do you have a price quote?
No, we'll have to get just a little bit of engineering done and then get the quotes and stuff.
Well, is this gonna come within the $35,000?
Yes, we feel like both of them are short enough that it's fairly simple too. So
When those are going like that to target a specific residence, the city's never requested that they reimburse some of that or some of that charge. I know in a water line case it is.
we haven't in sewer. We may have, there may have been some situations, but both of these felt like were, small. And,
I'm just making sure.
Doing with 6-inch line instead of 8-inch, which make the price a lot more reasonable. So.
I just didn't want somebody coming up here going, y'all charge me $500 to do that.
I will say this, and I didn't put it in a resolution. I'll be honest, forgot, because he asked me some time ago when talking about Mr. Dye is going to pay $1,000 above the tap fee on Searcy Lane. He did offer to do that, so we'll be getting a little bit extra money from him.
The only other question I had, James, I forgot, I apologize for the meeting. Did we check and see if that actually applies to the moratorium caps or emergencies not under that cap? Do we know that?
This is just, I remember that question. Phil Simmons hasn't got back to me.
Okay. I was just curious, for some reason I had in my mind back years ago that if there were emergencies, they didn't apply to the cap that was given to us in the moratorium, but I wasn't sure of that, so it'd be something to check on, it'd help us in the future.
And we are, Thomas is, they are running numbers now, and hopefully we're gonna have a meeting within the state within the next 30 days to ask for more taps and get a little bit more relief on our moratorium, or consent order. Any other comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Let the record reflect that I did not vote.
All right, next we got Parks and Recreation. See anything, Brian, or?
Doesn't look like it.
I've got one thing on Parks and Rec that we might need to put on a work study. It's something I had spoken, I don't think Steve's even here tonight, but, we do need to see about maybe getting an RFP and figuring out what it's gonna cost to refurb the decking and all that at the swimming pool. We talked about that,
Okay.
it's falling apart. Maybe we do it on work study or something.
The decking, you mean the cover, the,
The concrete decking.
Yeah, all of it. I think he may have, anyway, yeah, we can, we'll get on work study.
When the major renovation down up there a year or two ago,
Well, we had the handicap put in, and there were some other things done, but a lot of what Mike's talking about wasn't done. The kiddie pool still needs, we want to get it back going, some work and stuff. One of the things on our Parks and Rec comments that we have had some conversation the last couple of years about something that's becoming kind of an item among different communities, to have a community garden, spot for a community garden. And we are going to, the park system is going to do that this year, and there will be, I think, an article in the paper this week about it, where actually people can come in and get a spot where they can like grow, and we're going to do an area, it'd be like a 10 by 10 area or a 10 by 20 area. There is some structure to it. They have checked other community gardens, kind of went by their guidelines. So kind of excited about that. Gives people opportunity to grow some things on their own, and there's some big advantages to it. And of course, we all are trying to think more healthy and grow natural foods. And so I'm kind of excited about that program, see how it goes this year. And their park system has come up with some educational things along the way for some children, and plant days and some things like that. So there'll be more coming out about it. Target date get kicked off, I think it'll be April 1. So.
Is there something that they will kind of be in conjunction with, maybe the FFA or something?
Well, the
along
FFA
with
is,
or something?
they are, talk to Sherry, and they can't really, since it's off-site, them can't take charge, but they will be willing to help
Take
people
part in it.
plant, kind of help guide. He would love to have something. And the state legislature, through some TCA codes, has actually made this more appropriate in the last year or two. So
Where's it gonna be at?
it's going to be on Denny Ford's side, Jim Courtney's side, down on Lower Field. We'll have water, and there will be a deposit required, because they'll have a key to the water, and once they return everything, clean the spot, and deposit back, there's going to be no charge for the spot. And there will be community hours asked, that they help keep it clean, do other events. So it's an exciting community outreach program. I'm excited about it. So just want to make you aware of that. All right, under public safety, we had we've already taken care of the police officers. Under legislative, we, resolution 13-25. Is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter a lease made between the city of Portland and municipal leasing consultants for the leasing of 2 rear loading garbage trucks. Have a motion to get this on the floor.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
When we had passed the original resolution to buy these 2 trucks and to lease them, we failed to put the name of Municipal Leasing Consultants in the resolution. So nothing has changed from the beginning with the original lease. This is just getting that company's name. And my understanding, we thought one may be here last week, but they still like painting. So either this week or next week, we should have both of them here. So, any other comments or questions?
Yeah, I thought you were getting 2 new ones there for a minute, 2 more.
Well, we are. No, the same 2. It's just getting our paperwork right. We felt we listed the name where we was buying them, but we should also list the leasing company. We didn't do that. So. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next, you have resolution 13-26. Doug laid this for you tonight. We talked about it in work study. Do we have a motion to get it on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All right, Doug, I'll let you.
Okay, it's resolution 1326, resolution of the city of Portland, Tennessee authorizing the issuance of interest-bearing fire equipment acquisition capital outlay notes, series 2013, in the amount not to exceed $378,000, and providing for the payment of said notes. There should be an attachment of the amortization based on a $42,000 a year payment, plus interest at 2.68%. I guess just open for questions. Now, you're gonna notice the resolution is, quite a bit longer than most of them, and there's a copy of the note attached. Actually, when you go through TML, they provide the resolution, they do all the, filings with the state so that we're in compliance and everything. They do charge a fee of $500, but based on the interest rate being about a percentage point less than everybody else, it's $500 worth spending. Any questions on this particular?
Comments, questions?
No, I appreciate the work Doug looked at that. Appreciate, Chief West. He's worked on this a couple of years. And I think your original numbers, you know, these were pretty close, and it was just a wonderful thing that the interest rate was lower. I think you had said 3.5, 4. It was just a rough guess back then, and it's dropped considerably. So that's wonderful. So I appreciate you guys' efforts on this.
All right. Anything else?
What is the section 13, is that more just legal wording, so they? Section 13 talks about levy of taxes.
Yes. This is just based on how we will, do financing. Of course, when you're usually the comment is based on the, power of a taxing authority. But they've had this is a standard boilerplate one that they cover for all bonds and everything. So, yeah, it's basically saying it's gonna be through levy of taxes, which is gonna come through our general fund.
Basically, this is, I mean, that's pretty standard with any time you borrow general fund money, that your taxes are your
The full
security
page,
for
yeah,
that.
the full
That's
page.
where you're-
I had
Budget of the
an
city.
idea of what, I just didn't,
Right.
the way it was worded, kinda weird.
Any other comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, next we have on the agenda two, resolutions for the airport authority. Brian, do you wanna read those?
Yeah, I can. Are you not doing 1327?
Oh, I hit myself. I'd keep me on track
I
here. Yes,
thought maybe
we are
someone
gonna do
found one 'cause
1327.
done got
Well, I was looking at Doug here, and had Doug on my mind. Resolution 1327 is a resolution authorizing the city of Portland to use committed animal control funds for free spay and neuter service of residents of Portland. Can I have a motion, get it on the floor?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
What this is, we have a fund that was established through some different things and through some adoption. It's built up to a little over $9,000, and it's been suggested, and Alderman Callis, thank him for doing this, that we could use this if residents offer it to them to have this service done, and that'd be a way to use those funds up, plus help the control of animals within our city limits. Let's open it up for any questions or comments.
I know that Carl, our animal control officer, had brought this up once before, and then a lady by the name of Donna Crabb just brought it to my attention. It was Doug that done the research and looked up the things, and so I just appreciate them. And Sumner Spade, Neuter Alliance in Gallatin will handle the services for us. For the
All right, is there any other comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, now we get to the other Doug.
Resolution number 1328, resolution in support of a grant application to the Tennessee Department of Transportation Aeronautics Division for funds for the construction of a new terminal building. Are both of these identical? Okay, Doug, if you don't mind, you can explain what
Let's,
this.
can we have a motion, get the first on the floor?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Federal grant that's done 90%, the state does 5%, and we do 5% for $150,000, which makes a total of $165,000. This is addition to amending what we already had that we talked about last year to bring it up to our 960-something thousand.
That's actually 1329 is the one that the one that you're describing now, I think.
No, it's 1328.
Oh, what it says?
Yeah, 1329 is the one that's, 29 says 95 and 5.
That'll be the state grant, 95.
28 is your, 28 is your state grant, and 29 is your federal.
I wrote down his federal was 28.
Hey,
So the state grant is 28?
They both go through the state.
I understand, but the 1328 says 95.5.
Well, they both work out 95.5. When you put the numbers together. I don't have that figure on mine.
All right,
I just know what they are.
Okay. I just don't approve of both the
Explain
same
that
way,
again.
but-
You said it was a 90-10, but somebody else picks up 5 of the 10
Right.
besides the city?
The federal government picks up 90%.
All
It's
right,
90-10 grant.
That's the second one. The one right now, you got 95
Okay.
state grant with 5% local matching.
Okay.
That's the one we're on right now.
Okay, that's not on mine, but anyway, the state picks up 95 and we pick up 5%. That's on a $200,000 grant.
And the other one that's 90-10, how does it break down?
It breaks down 90 federal, 5 state, and 5 us.
Gotcha.
They both break down the same.
And it's 150.
No, it's 150.
Sorry about that.
Well, that don't tell me that on mine.
Right.
Well, you read these, you think they are identical.
Well, yeah, they just about are.
Reading
Just
them,
a-
and
gotta
like I
find
said, I
out.
had to go back over them twice. I said, we made error here, but. All right, has anybody got any questions? Doug went at length in our work study, went over these. This is just, an avenue to get, some funding, for this next one. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 1320.
1329, resolution in support of a grant application to the Tennessee Department of Transportation Aeronautics Division for funds for the construction of a new terminal building. Doug, this is the one, move to approve.
All right, have motion and approval. Mr.
This
Hunt?
is this is the 95.5.
Yeah, 95.5, I think. Right. Federal money. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I said, that wasn't on my sheet.
All right, has anybody got any questions for Doug on this?
Doug, how long have you been looking at these plans to get us a terminal building now?
Well, this time we've been working on it about 4 years, because we rolled the money. This is 5 years we've been working on it. We talked about a new terminal building 10 years ago. So it's, and right now, we've already done site split, sites complete. So we're on the drawings now, and they're supposed to be complete by 4th of next month, April. So,
Appreciate your work out there, Doug.
Any other comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
thank you. Thank all of you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Mr. Coker, is this something you want some action on tonight, or is it just a big discussion?
Well, in a way, I need to get the city attorney to do a little more research, which costs
So we're
money.
not gonna take a direct vote tonight?
Well, I think we should probably maybe get an idea of whether we should even advise them to proceed. I mean, because if there's not the will of the body to send it to
We'll
referendum,
let
there's
you
no
go,
need to
then
spend
we'll
the money.
decide if we want.
We didn't have a lot of information to put on the agenda, and I'd like some more information.
I told you at the work study it was coming.
I know it was, you said at the work study it was coming, but we also said at the work study we were gonna get the election lady up here to talk to us and give us some information. That has not
This isn't
occurred.
about that.
What are we talking about?
This is about the referendum. This isn't about the outside
Is that not
resident
an
property.
election?
But that'll be in May of 2014.
It's still an election, the
It
referendum.
has nothing to do
Election.
with this issue about whether you want to let the people of Portland vote on it or not. That's the only thing I wanna know tonight, because if the body doesn't want to pursue that, there's no need to pay David to do the research to see if we can.
Why don't we let him see what, then if there's still questions, we may not. Now, I'm gone blank tonight. The lady from Lake, she will be here at the work study Monday night to talk about, the issue with the, property rights voters. That'll be the main thing. And then we can ask her other questions too, so. All right, Tim, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I basically expressed it. I just want, before we pay David to do the research to see. Well, let me kind of give a background on this. When the city administrator issue came up 2 years ago now, we went through the process of redoing the charter, making suggestions, all of those things. We passed it on first reading, and then I think Alderman Callis was the first one to ask me if it could be done by referendum. And at first I said, no, not the way that I read it, because the TCA gives you about 13 things that you can have referendums for, and something like this wasn't one of them. But he pointed to one of the criteria that read that you could have a referendum on a private act passed by the General Assembly. And that's what I've asked David to kind of get some clarification on, that if we if we send a private act to them to pass for us to have a referendum on the change, does that fall under that criteria? And I'm still working on that. But at this week, I realized that if the will of the body's not to send it, not to even have the referendum, why pay David to do the research? So that's basically the only direction I'm looking for tonight, is if the will of the body is that, if possible, do you want to have a referendum on it?
I know one question come up, I think, Steve, you may be the one to ask this question about the cost of doing a referendum. So I just asked, what is the election officer's name? I think it's Satchel. Gone blank. Did ask her about that. If we have it with another election, like next May will be the first time there'll be another scheduled election, be the primary elections for some county offices. If we have it at that time, the only cost we will have will be whatever advertisement costs that we use, and if we incorporate another, it'll be very, very minimal. So it'll be only the money that we spend. They won't have a charge for us like a special election where they got their employees up here to do everything. As long as we tie it in with another election, it'll just be basically whatever.
And I'm kind of springing this on you. Do you remember what we paid for the sales tax referendum on the last election? Because that would be a similar.
I'd have to go back and forth.
Okay.
But it would be, and then it might not even be, if they incorporate it in the same size ad, it might not even be hardly any, and you can confirm that. We can confirm that with her Monday night. But
Okay.
that would be the only clause, as long as we tie it in with another election.
I know I scared you with the $20,000 number. That was only if we had a special election only for this issue, so.
Well, I'm a little confused because we've talked about this in the past, and if we ran an election when there's another one going on, our cost, part of it was around $9,000 because we shared in that cost. But if we did it all alone, it was gonna be upwards of 20. So I'm a little confused now because
Well, we've
I've
not
always.
ever done it before with a we've done it before, like, in May, when, it was based on except Millersville, somebody, there wasn't another
Yeah.
county tied onto it, or
This would
state
be tied to a
onto it.
federal
This would be
election.
tied to your other elections. So, cause we basically were on our own unless we had a separate item on it. Of course, you know, if things go through with the state, there may be some other referendums, you know, the wine and, grocery stores and some other referendums that they're looking at doing, may be, ready for, the May election, so.
Well, Tim, I can say from my own standpoint, even though, you know, I'm not particularly in favor of city manager, but I'm always for the people. My only problem would be, it would be hard for me to say definitely, is I guess I would wanna know what it was I was allowing them to vote on.
Right, and then David and I are continuing to talk about what that would be.
And so I don't have no problem with people voting in referendums, but I couldn't tell you here tonight, definitely, depending on what that document was we were sending, whether I could agree with that document.
Basically, what I've asked is that they would be voting on basically the work that was done by the charter committee. As far as the structure of the city administrative form of government, is what the structure would be.
Cause I know we.
7 on the body, mayor voting member, all that thing that was hammered out over 18 months, that would basically be what they would be voting on.
Cause I know there was a little discrepancies, you know, amongst our group just on that language itself, and so, you know, if we go that direction, I'm sure we'll have to make sure that we're saying there's 5 of us that says, yeah, that we're willing, if they say that document, we're gonna approve that, so that would be, I guess, my only.
Well, that's one of the questions. I mean, is the referendum binding? I mean, if we put a charter in front of the people and ask them to vote on it, does their vote pass it through?
You know, and I'm not sure about that. I know from this standpoint that if I'm gonna vote to send it to referendum, then I'm gonna vote in favor of the majority that spoke that day of the election. So my problem will only be, what do I send?
Right.
That would be my only.
Okay,
thing.
and we will try to hammer all that out. We actually have a little more time than I thought we did.
Did we find that answer out? Since you brought that up, I mean, do we have time to get to legislate?
I don't think you would have to have it done in this legislative year, since we would be pushing it back to
I see.
For the May election.
Yeah.
I think.
If you're doing it with a federal election in May of 2014, that would allow us to.
Okay, because I know we had talked dealing with the personnel policy that we couldn't do some things because of the time frame. I didn't know if that's what you were referring to.
We may can still get one or two things for the private act only down there, but it may. So I think the big question is, do we wanna try to let David spend some time just to get some other answers and questions that we may have?
I'm for that, simply from this standpoint. Whatever we do going forward, I don't know, but I'm always willing to have all the facts and answers, and so this is something that could be helpful if we didn't do it this time in the future, maybe.
Well, I need to know exactly what I've been asked to do research on. If I understand correctly, let me just summarize what idea has been thrown out. That a charter amendment would be made, or you would be approving a charter amendment to our existing charter, which takes 5 votes. Send it down there and 5 votes upon passage, just like we did before. But what would be sent down there is a power band given to the city to enact a city administrator form of government with the associated effect that it would have on other provisions of the charter. And that would only become effective if a referendum was held and the voters approved the question presented to them.
He lost
Lord
me.
have mercy.
Well, I think it's a two-way street. You're either just saying, do we get approval, one, to put it on a ballot, that's a yes or no, they will say yes to that, and the next question is simply, once it's done, is it binding by the majority vote, or does it still have to have approval through the body, and that's pretty simple.
No, it has to have approval by the voters.
That's
So,
what
so
I'm saying,
yes,
they have to
we
come
want
from
David to
the
look
vote.
into this? Is that where we're at right now?
I think
Well,
another question would be too, if it's, say, was to be approved, then any changes made to what was voted on, say, at that referendum, does that go back to another referendum? Does the council have the power to make, what I'm saying, internal changes within the system itself?
I would think, and I'm not a lawyer by any means, but if the mechanism for changing the charter is in that charter they vote on and it's not referendum, I wouldn't think so.
So I think it's,
I mean, y'all vote however you want to. We beat that thing to death for months. I'm not gonna vote to spend another penny on that issue. That's y'all's prerogative.
Tim, you wanna put form a motion to,
Do we have to, I wouldn't think that just to ask the city attorney a question, we do that without motions
Yeah,
all the
yeah, I
time.
mean,
I
we
just wanted to
can.
be sure that we didn't do all this research if 3 people were just dead set against it, no
David,
matter
won't you
what.
get the high and then come back maybe at the work study
That'd be fine.
with just the very broad question? I think you can get some basic answers without getting into it, and then that way we give a little bit more.
Since we're gonna be spending money on having David research it, seems like we'll have.
I'm not against it, I'm just saying we don't have to.
I think it would actually be helpful.
Okay.
I agree.
Does that mean your price goes up? if we
No.
do this?
No, but I
We'll put that
think,
forward.
I put a motion to the floor that we advise the city attorney to research if the referendum as described is allowable by TCA.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, any other comments or questions? Everybody understand what we're voting on? Or let's just allow him. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
I can't tell by voice. All in favor, not say raise your hands.
I'm sorry, I
All-
missed
say that
All
again?
the ayes, raise your hands. Okay, and the noes, raise your hand. Okay, passes 5-2. All right. Any other comments or questions for the council tonight? If not, appreciate your attendance and,
On the, I forgot to say something earlier about, a change to the agenda. Is it okay if we address that issue for the alcoholic beverage board that was laid in front of us, just to give them an answer on it? I mean, we are the beer board, so can we?
Oh, you're talking about this.
I mean, I don't think it's anything that big of a deal. They're just asking
To extend
to
it.
extend it so they don't worry about losing that permit.
I think it may be I have to admit, I just saw this tonight myself, but it was briefly discussed at the work study session after the meeting was over. And the only question I have, and Tricia maybe can enlighten us. I thought the time had actually run, and under the provisions, and that this request for an extension may be too late. Am I right or wrong on that? I haven't seen the letter you wrote. I don't know what it said. I just saw this tonight, but if I recall, when we discussed at the work study, I haven't seen the provisions that deal with this 6-month period. Doesn't it say something about if you do not have an operation, it automatically fails?
Well, evidently they have a letter dated February 26th from us. What was that, what did that letter say?
That's what I don't know. I haven't seen that.
Make them aware of the situation.
Was it telling them that it expired or it's coming up on expiring? What was the status of that letter?
David, I don't think the beer board can meet right now. Can the council take action on that?
Well, we're just getting information. All we're asking right now is what was the time period?
Yeah, but Jody had asked about taking action. That's why he's asking.
Well, I don't know that we,
Right, and we can't.
Yeah, I think
well,
the
I don't
council
think we
can
can. We
take
get some information on which to,
Right,
at least know what the action to take.
Although we are the beer board. It would have to come from the beer board to
Right.
the council for council to take action.
Yeah, we'd have to tell us to do it.
So we'll get all,
Exactly.
we'll get all those information together, and David got
That's what you need to
comment,
make the body of the
question, want to
beer
get
board.
Tricia, and then we will, can we have a beer board meeting for the next council meeting?
I have no idea. I'm all for it, but last time we couldn't because we couldn't advertise for it, so
Well, we've got,
you tell me.
we get the paper this week, and then we can, yeah, we got time.
All right.
'Cause, I mean, Monday
Yeah.
night would be a work study, then so it'll be 2 weeks from tonight. Is that all right with everybody then? And then you got him.
I mean, we've taken action as the council here many times on something that would have fell on another
I mean,
safety board or park
I'm all
board or
for it.
anything.
I'm all for extending it.
Yeah,
I'm all for allowing us to act on it, whatever we can do. I don't want somebody to come in here and arrest us.
I think there's some questions that's come up that we need to get answered before we can give you the proper answer. So we'll just advertise, plan a beer board meeting for the next meeting.
Is the permit suspended as of, is currently then?
Yes.
Well, he's not even using it. I mean,
Well, no, I understand, but, so basically what
See,
we're
the
gonna
only
do-
reason I bring this up is because aren't we at the limit of the number of approved permits? We're close though, aren't we? Got one left. That's the reason I bring that up.
Well, has his permit has expired?
Yeah, it's,
Well, the thing is, we put that clause in there so somebody couldn't grab a beer permit and hold it to keep somebody else from getting it and kind of hold that thing hostage like that. But this person has actually been constructing a building. They're just not finished with the building yet. It's not like they bought it for no reason. They actually.
And
are
there's
using
all
it.
kinds of extenuating circumstances.
Well,
in this
right.
situation.
Yeah.
It's
I don't
just-
think
I'm
anybody's
not
questioning
against
that.
it
It's a
unless the
ridiculous
language
situation.
just clearly prohibits it. It may be the language just says it automatically expires.
But even if it does, then we could put an item on the agenda
to,
and waive those fees.
right.
And I think we're all in agreement that this situation needs to be.
Well, I'm not
I mean, I'm
against
just
it.
saying
I'm
we
not
can
against
still
you doing
rectify
that.
it.
I'm just,
Even-
wanna make sure we follow what you passed.
Yeah, even if the beer board could not, we could put it as an item on the agenda and we could vote to refund those fees based on these circumstances.
Well,
That's not what he's
And then
asking.
the council can do that.
He's asking for a continuation.
But he's asking that the bottom line of it is, he's asking that he does not be charged the
Right.
fees for reapplying. and all that
Asking a
stuff.
continuation plus not being,
Yeah,
charged
I'll
fees
prefer that.
again.
And if we determine, I would recommend that we determine that the beer board does not have that power based on the guidelines, then we place an item on the agenda refunding or waiving those fees for him because they've already been paid. Then we could take care of
If
that.
he has to reapply.
But there would be no fees.
If he has to reapply, then the beer board will have to take action.
What do we do
on
in
it.
the event that
somebody else.
somebody else picks up the beer permit and?
Well, if someone has all the circumstances and it comes before us and provides all that information that we know about, then we deal with that individually. And, you know, if it happens, we may do that again. Something's wrong with that.
All right. So what we'll have it on the beer board meeting about, renewing the permit, and then council will take action on the second part of that.
And let me say this, but it may not be unreasonable for a person because of the number of beer permits we have, for a person to apply early so that they know when they start construction that they'll have a permit at the end, and that time could elapse just through construction.
Right.
Well, that's what just happened.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we'll have a advertised beer board meeting, and then the action be taking those spots.
At that
All right.
meeting, on the agenda of that meeting, we discussed the number of permits.
Okay.
You don't know that.
Did you get that, Patricia?
I think you know.
And also at the next, not at the work study meeting, but at that council meeting, we might try to have it around here at 5. Yearly, the FFA comes and does their program that they're gonna go to state with. They've asked to, come, that night and do their program, so we'll try to do that right for the council meeting. All right, does
We
anybody
don't
else
have
got
it much
anything?
time, Mike.
And I was gonna also tell y'all,
got
on
those
our
snaps.
March
Yeah.
two thousand
You
thirteen
mean left on
calendar,
Earth?
Friday the 29th says city offices closed for good.
Oh, not the Good Friday.
Praise the Lord.
Well,
Save a
we're,
little money.
we're following the federal guidelines there. so-
Council chambers included, right?
Let me look at that.
All right, if anybody have anything else, no objections will be adjourned.
We put that on referendum. They might pass that.
It might pass.